Hey, hi, how are you? My name's Felt, and welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Today we're talking about Monk, a job whose current iteration I loved so much I dropped my main job of Dragoon and took it straight into Savage after getting it to max. I think its current iteration is probably the most fun it's been. It's got insanely high CPM. It's got optional openers, which I always find to be super interesting. There's two different variations you can use depending on fights. And on top of that, it has decent party buffing and small amounts of party utility between having Mantra to buff the party healing, Riddle of Earth to make yourself just take less damage, and then you also have your Brotherhood buff, which is what Monk's generally known for. Party-wide 5% damage buff that now comes up on the 2-minute cooldown in place of the 90-second cooldown. Monk's new kit's incredible. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video, so let's hop right into it. This is like take 27 of this part because Monk is very complicated now, so I apologize if I sound a little annoyed with myself. Let's start with the basics of the Monk GCDs. There are three forms. There's Opo form, which has Boot Shine and Dragon Kick in it. There's Raptor form, which has True Snake and Twin Snakes in it. And there's Curl form, which has Snap Punch and Demolish in it. Each of the forms has a button that will apply a buff or apply a damage over time, and a button that will deal more damage. Inside of Opo, there is Dragon Kick. It will apply the Leaden Fist buff. There's also Boot Shine, which will consume the Leaden Fist buff, but make it guarantee crit and deal more damage. Inside of Raptor form, there's True Strike, which just does more damage, but there's also Twin Snakes, which will apply the Disciplined Fist buff, which will buff your damage by 15%. If you are in this form, and there is less than 9 seconds left on your Disciplined Fist buff, I recommend reapplying it, because it may run out before you get back around. And I do mean less than. If it says 9 seconds, don't hit it. Inside of Curl form, there is Snap Punch, which is the higher damage button, and Demolish, which is the button that will apply a damage over time. You should very much get used to this rotation very early on, because you have this entire set of GCDs ready by level 50. At level 50, you get Dragon Kick, which is the last part you need, so you should get very used to the way you rotate through the forms. If you need Leaden Fist, you hit Dragon Kick. If you need a damage buff, you hit Twin Snakes. If you need a dot, hit Demolish. Otherwise, you're using Boot Shine, True Strike, and Snap Punch for the most amount of damage inside of your rotation. Next, we're going to talk about the more complex part of the kit, Perfect Balance, as well as Masterful Blitz. So Perfect Balance and Masterful Blitz are a very, very complex part of the kit. You do get Perfect Balance at level 50, which you will get used to very quickly. It is simply a button you press so that you can hit more buttons. It will remove form requirements and allow you to do stuff very quickly. Most people should be using this at level 50 to be hitting Dragon Kick, Boot Shine, Dragon Kick, Boot Shine, because that will be the most amount of damage. Dragon Kick being one of your highest potency hits, and Boot Shine being one of your highest potency hits with a guaranteed crit as long as you have the Leaden Fist buff. It's very powerful. I recommend you get used to using Perfect Balance for that, because it'll also matter once you get to the more important part of the kit in Masterful Blitz. Masterful Blitz is a massive overhaul to the way Monk works that I personally enjoy a lot. It's what made me fall in love with the job and want to take it into Savage, even though I consider myself a Dragoon main. So the way that it works is that when you hit Perfect Balance, every GCD that you hit will grant you a special chakra, as well as applying its normal effects. You'll get an Opo chakra for hitting an Opo form skill, a Raptor chakra for the Raptor form skills, and a Curl chakra for hitting the Curl form skills. If you hit the same chakra 3 times in a row, say you go Dragon Kick, Boot Shine, Dragon Kick, then Masterful Blitz will be able to be used with the ability Elixir Field, and it will open up the Lunar Nadi. And the way that that works is that because you have hit 3 of the same GCDs of the same form, Masterful Blitz will transform and you'll be able to use Elixir Field. It's a higher potency attack that will then re-grant you Formless Fist afterwards, so say you realized, oh, I did my Dragon Kick, Boot Shine, Dragon Kick spam, but now Twin Snakes is about to fall off. When you leave, you can immediately hit Twin Snakes to make sure your damage buff doesn't fall off and naturally progress back through your rotation. There's another button that you will be able to use, Flint Strike, or Rising Phoenix if you're high enough level, which is when you use Perfect Balance, you will use one of each form. So you will use, say, Dragon Kick, Twin Snakes, Demolish if you need all 3 of your buffs to be rolling. That will give you Flint Strike if you're below level 86, or Rising Phoenix at level 86, and unlock the Solar Nadi. This little part of the gauge right here. There is a third button you can make happen here, but it is bad. It is Celestial Revolution. It opens the Lunar Nadi by default, but will open the Solar if you already have a Lunar Nadi. The problem is, Celestial Revolution does less damage. Elixir Field is 600 potency, as is Flint Strike, and at higher levels Phoenix is actually 700 potency. So accidentally messing up and doing an ability that is only 450 is a massive loss of potency on a skill that you're really only using every 60 seconds. After you have both of your Nadi open by casting Elixir Field and Flint Strike, or Elixir Field and Rising Phoenix, depending on what level, the next time you use Perfect Balance, you will use one of each again. You will use one of each form, and then it will transform into Tornado Kick if you are below level 90, or Phantom Rush at level 90. Regardless of which one it is going to be your highest potency attack in your kick. 850 for Tornado Kick, 1000 for Phantom Rush. Is a massive nuke of an ability that hits for a massive amount of damage. The whole point of the rotation right now is using Perfect Balance to build up your Solar and Lunar Nadi so that you can hit Phantom Rush or Tornado Kick inside of buff windows in a proper manner. On the plus side, the way that the job flows is set in stone around level 70. Because you will have Riddle of Fire at 68 and Brotherhood at 70. You do get Riddle of Wind at 72, which does add an extra little bit of spice to the kit. However, the rotation that she'll be following will more or less be set in stone by level 70, which means from 70 to 90, you can essentially just be practicing how you're going to be playing at max level, which I find to be very nice. This is what we're about to get into. So this is going to be a really short part where I talk about Monk's party utility, which is something that I feel like is valued just about right now, as well as some of its more personal skills, which can make it really powerful inside of fights. It has Mantra, which is an AoE party healing buff. Very, very powerful. Very useful if there's lots of outgoing damage inside of a fight. You can make your healers have to heal less because you are buffing them by 10%. You also have Brotherhood, which is an AoE party buff, buffing everyone's damage by 5%. It's also a massive self buff because of the fact that it will also give you chances for bonus chakra cast inside your bursts. And Chakra is just 340 more potency than you would have been casting otherwise. You also have Thunderclap, which is a dash that can either go to enemies or to allies. Very useful for getting in and out of fights quickly and trying to avoid AoEs while maintaining massive uptime. It is also really useful in your opener because we can dash into the boss, but you will not hit them like a standard dash would, like Shoulder Tackle used to. So dashing in a tiny bit early means you will probably not take the first auto attack that the tanks are typically taking. You also have Riddle of Earth, which is a massive self-buff, in that it will make you take 20% less damage for 3 GCDs, and you have 3 stacks of it, so it is a lot of damage mitigation. Keep in mind, don't make the mistake I did, I've realized this very recently, but Riddle of Earth does no longer nullify positional requirements like it used to, it is just damage reduction. If you want to nullify positional requirements, make sure you are using True North. So Monk has 2 openers at max. There's Lunar Solar and there is Double Solar. I'm going to explain the differences and the benefits of each. Let's start by the Double Solar, because that's the one that I use and the one that I think works best for me inside of Party Finder. So, when you do your opener, in place of casting an Elixir Field and a Rising Phoenix inside of your opener, you will instead cast 2 Rising Phoenixes. That means at the 1-minute burst window underneath Riddle of Fire, you'll be casting your Elixir Field. But that does mean at the 2-minute window, upon everyone's massive party buffs, you will hit a Rising Phoenix and a Phantom Rush, which will overall allow for more DPS during big burst windows. This does lead to the fact that you can miss a cast of Phantom Rush later on during the fight, though. Because if you can get to your next 1-minute burst window, but then your final 2-minute burst window is missed by the party because you killed the boss too fast, you'll be missing out on a Phantom Rush cast and your personal DPS will be suffering. Now keep in mind this is high-end optimization. However, I do believe it's important to explain the benefits and drawbacks of both openers and why I choose the one that I do. And because that is the one you're going to see gameplay of and the one I'm going to be able to explain more clearly. The Double Solar, like I said, opens with a double Rising Phoenix, and then at your 1-minute window, it's Elixir Field. Because of the party comps that I run in with my personal static, involving a Red Mage and a Dancer, there are lots and lots and lots of 2-minute burst phases, which means that my Phantom Rushes will be hitting under an Embolden and a Tech Step, which is huge for DPS for it. It's 1000 potency being buffed by 2 other party buffs. That is a lot of damage. It is incredibly powerful because of that. However, if we're killing the boss too fast, that final Phantom Rush won't go off if we don't reach our final 2-minute window, which is why the other opener and other rotation exists. There's also the Lunar Solar rotation, which involves using a Rising Phoenix and an Elixir field in your opener. If you use one of each, that means at your 1-minute window when you're using Riddle of Fire, you will be casting Phantom Rush. This isn't as bad if you're playing with, say, a Ninja in the party, because Ninja has 1-minute burst windows as well, so you'll be hitting a Phantom Rush underneath a Trick Attack. However, because the game seems to be slowly rotating towards 2-minute massive burst phases in place of awkward misalignment of phases all over the place, I personally think that the Solar opener will work better, especially inside of randos, because randos and Party Finder can typically align 2-minute party buffs decently. However, it does run the risk of you missing a Phantom Rush if you're using this double Solar opener. Do all the research you can on this. This is a moderately complex matter, and if you're playing with a static, work out with your static how fast you think you'll kill bosses and decide for yourself which opener you're going to do. Your opener doesn't really change the placement of your party buffs. On average, they will still be hitting around the same time, maybe 1 or 2 GCDs later if you're doing Lunar Solar compared to Double Solar. However, like I said, this is a fairly complex issue. I recommend you really do your own research on it. I'm going to explain my opener and the one that I like and its value, and much less so the Lunar Solar side of things. I am not a flawless point of resources. I'm just explaining how I play the job, how I like the job, and my personal choices. So let's talk about the double Solar opener, because it's the one I use and it's the one that you will be seeing in the gameplay that follows. If you want to learn about the Lunar Solar opener and the Lunar Solar rotation, I recommend you go find other resources. I am not infallible, I am not an encyclopedia, and I am not as good as other people out there on making sure every detail of the job is talked about. I just hope to give you a solid introduction, especially as to how it functions in-game, so that you have a decent starting point, and that if you really need to, you can go find other resources that fill in the gaps that I can leave. So, as for how to do the double Solar opener, you will start by casting Form Shift. If you're like me, you'll be spamming it before the pull, because while it's a 30-second buff, you get paranoid about it falling off. You make sure you're in Form Shift so you have Formless Fist up and ready to go. 1 second pre-pull, you will hit your Tincture of Strength, then you will dash in with Thunderclap at the very last second, and by that I mean less than half a second remaining. Then you will hit Dragon Kick, you will weave in your Perfect Balance, you will hit Twin Snakes, you'll hit Riddle of Fire in the second half of the GCD. So when a GCD rolls, it ticks in a circle, and when the GCD is around where my mouse pointer is, so around 3/4 of the way through the box, 2/3 of the way through the box is when you should be hitting Riddle of Fire to put the most amount of GCDs inside of Riddle of Fire as you can. After Riddle of Fire's Weave, you will hit Demolish, and then you will hit Forbidden Chakra. Afterwards, you will hit Bootshine and then Brotherhood. You will hit Masterful Blitz, which will be your first Rising Phoenix cast, and then you will hit Riddle of Wind in the Weave window. Then it'll be Dragon Kick, and then Perfect Balance again. This time you will hit Bootshine, Snap Punch, and then Twin Snakes. At any point inside of these GCDs here, you will be hitting Forbidden Chakras because of your party giving you tons of them from Brotherhood. After that Twin Snakes cast, you will hit your final Masterful Blitz, which will be your second Rising Phoenix, and then you will go Dragon Kick, True Strike, Demolish. Demolish will not fall under the Brotherhood buff at the end there, but it should fall under Riddle of Fire, and it will definitely fall under your potion. That's how the double Solar opener works. Keep in mind you'll be getting tons of chakra procs, but make sure you're hitting the important weaves, and do not try and double weave unless your ping is fantastic. Monk right now is aiming for a 1.94 GCD. You'll see mine's 195, but that's because you use Pumpkin Ratatouille to give you that last tiny bit of GCD speed, so that the rest of your armor can go towards your damage. Either way, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out. I hope this long video about Monk was helpful to somebody out there. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoy it. I hope to see you in the next one.